which is a very unique program for education. I will leave him to talk about it more, inshallah. He will be talking to us about how to prepare our children, when it becomes stressful. How can we help, inshallah, create a stress-free environment at home? So,
Thank you. Thanks for having me today. Thank you so much for the beautiful presentation. Bismillah, salatu salam, rasulullah, rabbi shrah li sadri, wa yassir li amri, wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. So we do mindfulness and emotional intelligence training for kids, and we also train parents. We actually launched this summer a program for character coaching. How do we coach our kids? We actually have some people in this audience that have taken the class. So I really would love to share a little bit about our HEART model, and we actually made a few changes to the HEART model of coaching and parenting to how can we connect with our kids? How can we help them transition back to school? And this could apply to many different situations, but hopefully this can be beneficial in the context of the back to school scenario. So first, for the HEART model, bismillah, start with H for heart, and H stands for hear them out. So we want to make sure that we are listening to our kids. We are listening to whatever they're feeling, and that's the first step. A lot of times what happens is that when they're saying something, when they're trying to express their emotions, we cancel those emotions outright, or we are so stressed because the kids are making so much noise all the time that we don't know how to discern from, which one is right and which one is not, or it's just one of their shenanigans, or they're just whining again. Oh God, it's like there they go, right? So the kids, what happens is that as parents, we get to a point where we're in autopilot, and we're not really, sometimes really taking a step back and realizing that is this something that is just one of those things that happens every day, or it's something that I really need to pay attention to. So it's important to sometimes slow down and listen to them. And especially at this time, especially when the kids are transitioning from one year to the other year, they are going back to school, new environment, new teacher, new classroom. Sometimes the kids, their friends they were with last year, it's all changed. There's a new roster. So there's a lot going on. Sometimes the teacher they were thinking they were going to have the whole summer, they go in and then that it's a completely new teacher. So there's just so much going on that sometimes we really need to sit down and see what they're feeling and hear them out. One of the things I also say that sometimes for younger kids, because their brain is still developing, and their prefrontal cortex, it's not fully developed to the point that they're able to express all the feelings verbally. So we tell them to write down their feelings too. Sometimes writing it down helps them express what they're not able to express verbally. E stands for empathize. So we have to, once we hear them out, we have to try to feel what they're feeling and be with them. Okay? So empathizing is really important so that our kids are able to understand that, okay, my parents can be at the level that I'm at. A lot of times what happens, even I'm guilty of this, that kids are feeling something and they're right here and I'm right here. And I am just talking from here and they're talking from there, and we're not leveling up. My energy is here, their energy is somewhere else, and we're not meeting, we're not connecting. So a lot of times what we have to do is just get to their level and just hear them out. And after we hear them out, just kind of tell them that we ourselves, we're human beings, and we ourselves as parents have felt these things. Sometimes sharing your feelings. And not making it too much about yourself, but maybe to the point that they feel better, that they're not alone. And then connecting with them at a level and saying, you know what, it's normal for you to feel that, or I want to be here while you feel that. A lot of times their peers are also feeling the same things. And what can really benefit is if they have a friend that they really love, or they actually know they had it from last year, maybe you set up a time for them to meet up. Whether it's at the back to school night and they got to see each other and maybe just play together for a few minutes, hey, we're looking forward to being together. So it kind of gets rid of that, takes care of that emotional stress that they might be kind of having. So they realize that there are others, and they're also kind of wondering about their teachers, my other friends are there, we're going to be in it together, we're feeling the same thing together. So empathizing and also connecting them with others that might be feeling the same thing And sometimes with other kids, other families, having play dates or getting together helps get them transition. One of the things we want to teach them is it's okay to have feelings and emotions. A lot of times we try to shut down emotions, and we shut down thoughts. That, okay, you're not supposed to think that way. You're not supposed to feel these things. So when we say this thing, it doesn't help because they can't really get rid of all those things. Thoughts, they come and go. Emotions, they come and go. And one of the things in psychology, and especially mindfulness, that we are taught that teaching people to accept their emotions in a way that they are not defined by those emotions. Like Sheikh Yasser always says something that I really love, which he says that I give you permission to be angry as much as you want, but just don't show that anger in action, right? So this is exactly the concept of mindfulness, that emotions and thoughts, you are like the sky, and all the emotions that pass by are like the clouds that are passing by. And you can be as big as the sky, and the emotions are going to pass by, and don't worry about it. Jean Kabat-Zinn, a molecular biologist that started the mindfulness-based stress reduction program in Massachusetts, and now it's in hundreds of countries, one of the things he says is that when your thoughts and emotions, they're like bubbles. When the pot, when you're boiling the water, the bubbles are forming and they're coming up to the surface. Even if you don't do anything, they're gonna all go poof, right? They're gonna all pop. So the thoughts, eventually they will pass. Emotions, they will pass. And as long as we don't get carried away by it. The other analogy is that we stand on the platform, and our emotions and our thoughts are like the train. So when the train is coming, if you get into the train, then you're gonna get carried away by that train, right? So you want the emotions, like those trains, like the trains of thoughts, come and go, while you just observe them on the platform and don't get carried away by them. So these are trainings that sometimes we do in mindfulness work that helps us understand that we experience emotions and feelings as long as we don't internalize or hold on to them or overreact or get carried away by them. So that's really important to teach our kids as well. The other thing, that A in HEART stands for affirmation. That positive affirmation is really important at this time. Giving them affirmation that we love you, we're here with you. And especially they say that right when kids are going back to school, especially kids that are having a little bit heightened level of maybe anxiousness, or they're just kind of anticipating a little bit more than other kids, so make sure that you give a little more time to them, some quality time together, so that they feel that, okay, my mom and dad, they're there for me and we're spending this time together. So whatever they're feeling, it's offset by the positive interactions and all of the affirmations that you give them. I just want to share something that sometimes positive affirmation is saying, inshallah, we can do it, Allah is with us, du'as, these things help. These positive talks help us. And it doesn't mean that you dismiss. Remember, I started with first connecting, hearing, empathizing. Then slowly we get into a place where they feel that you listen to them, you're with them, you're at their level, you're affirming them, then having some positive affirmation. And a quick study here is that there was a study done in the island of Kauai in Hawaii, where they did a study for 40 years, and they found that out of 700 families, 1/3 of these kids came from single-family homes. They didn't have a lot. Their parents didn't go to high school. And out of these 700 people, out of the 700 students that studied for 40 years, when they were at age 40, 1/3 of them were really successful, and they were not defined by those conditions and circumstances and limitations that they came from. And they found that the main difference between those 1/3 of the kids that were really successful was that they thought that their situations were not in control of who they're going to become. They're going to take charge, and they're going to change who they're going to become. So it's important to say that I can, and have that confidence of, yes, I will and I can. So sometimes that positive affirmation, it's really important to teach kids to have that positive affirmation. That in our faith, we say, we trust in Allah, and Allah is with us, Bismillah, and we can do this, right? So kind of having that confidence, having that positive affirmation, that's really important. One thing we also talk about is journaling. Sometimes writing down what they're grateful for, right? This is a study by Dr. Robert Emmons at UC Davis and Michael McCullough at University of Miami. They had 3 groups of people, and the group that was writing down things they were grateful for every day, right? For 10 weeks, they were more optimistic, they felt better, they exercised more, they had a more productive day, they went to the doctor less. So basically showing the importance of focusing on and training your brain on the positive things in your life. So sometimes kids, when they're like, man, I'm worried about this, this, and that, okay, what are 5 things you were excited about? Can you write down some things that you're excited about? And Robert Evans studies show that if you focus on the details, you know, like I love my teacher, that's why I'm excited, but all the other things I'm a little bit apprehensive about. Okay, what are 5 things you love about your teacher? Going a little bit more into the details and writing those down so they feel better and good about those things. And R in heart stands for routine. So understanding what their routine is going to be. What's the structure in the morning? How long are they there? Which classes are they in? Knowing all of that and just going through all of that really helps the kids. If you completely keep them in the blind and they don't know what to expect in terms of their routines and structures, then it can be a little more, they can become a little more like, they're not unsettling, they don't know what they're getting into. So having those routines are important. The other routine that's important is the sleep, I think we're going to talk about nutrition. It's very important. Exercise, all these good routines that help us get to a place where we are optimal physically, mentally, we're feeling at our best when we transition back to school. And one of the things in routine I always talk about is silence. That silence is something that actually has the ability. There is research on how silence, heals our brain. It gives us the ability to process things because we have so much noise these days with so much technology. It's important to slow down and just give them some silent reading time, silent Quran time, some silent time before they go to bed. Just time for their brains to heal. It's really important. I don't have time to go over these slides, but I'll just say tea in our model with mashallah as Muslims, when we talk about the tea of the heart, turning to Allah and asking Allah for help, which is du'as, the power of du'as. And I want to mention that teaching kids that, okay, when you say Bismillah, tawakkaltu ala Allah, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, the angels are making dua for you. And Allah's there to protect you. So we have this affirmation in our faith about when you remember Allah and you say these du'as, how Allah is there for us. Teaching them certain du'as, like the Prophet said that if you are feeling worried, and these are some du'as that you can say, like La ilaha illallah al-adim al-halim, La ilaha illallah rabbul arsh al-azim. Or the dua that Allah Rabbi la ashriku bihi shay'a, whatever you're feeling. So having kids sometimes making dhikr, it gives them the affirmation that Allah is with me and I'm okay and I'll be all right. So these are the 5 things for heart: H for hearing them out, E for empathizing, A for affirmation, and R for creating those routine and also creating some relaxing structure within that routine. And T is to turning to Allah and using our faith and our du'as to have that mindfulness practice. One of the things that I just want to say that progressive muscle relaxation, just Google it. Sometimes when kids are feeling stressed, and if you just kind of like do a body, like from their head to toe, if this squeeze the muscle and just let go, starting from their head, their neck, their shoulder. This is used in cognitive behavioral therapy with their hands. So what happens is they just kind of learning to relax their body and just letting go of all the negative energy and the stress. So it really helps sometimes with kids to do that. So I just wanted to share these with you. I hope these are beneficial, inshallah. Allah bless you.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Wadud, for this beautiful presentation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. He wasn't feeling well and he had to force himself to come and be here with us. Alhamdulillah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you quick recovery and healing, Ya Rabbil Alameen.